Yes! Thank you! Oh my goodness! They're on!
Rangers!
Yeah! Excellent! Thank you, Sonia. Helpful! Do it! It's great. You know, all 5 OG Rangers. There they are. Oh man. Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
You got the lights on there and everything. Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah!
So good.
What do you want me to say?
Sing a song.
So good.
Jordan would say.
Now that you've got the color Power Rangers, you must follow 3 basic rules. Number 1, you must never reveal your identity. Number 2, you must never use your powers for personal gain. Number 2, never escalate a fight unless real forces you to. Number 3, you must keep your identity secret. No one may know you are a Power Ranger.
Nice. That's it.
Last time I did it.
Alpha and Zordon.
Yes! Thank you!
Hi, I'm Christina Ho. I play Betty on Beast Morphers.
Hi, I'm Abraham Rodriguez, aka AV Baby, aka Nate Silva, aka the Gold Ranger on Beast Morphers.
And follow Cosmic
Protect.
Oh! Hi, I'm Christina Ho. I play Betty on Beast Morphers.
Hi, I'm Abraham Rodriguez, aka AV Baby, aka Nate Silva, aka the Gold Ranger on Beast Morphers.
And you should follow Cosmic Protect.
On Patreon.
Hi, I'm Christina Ho, and I play Betty on Beast Morphers.
Hi, I'm Abraham Rodriguez, aka AV Baby, aka the Gold Ranger. Oh, I already messed up my intro.
Hi, I'm Christina Ho, and I play Betty on Beast Morphers.
Hi, I'm Abraham Rodriguez, aka AV Baby, aka Nate Silva, aka the Gold Ranger on Beast Morphers.
And you should follow Cosmic Protectors on Patreon! Yeah!
Welcome to the Ranger Wrap-Up, guys. I am Joe with the Illuminerdi, joined alongside my co-host, as always, Jezer Reyes.
What up, what up, what up?
And Corey Gibson. How you guys doing, man?
Good, man.
I'm alive, and my arm is missing.
What do you mean your arm is missing?
They disappear in the sea.
Oh,
Keep going.
stupid. Yeah,
It's,
good.
We were talking about, Jezer and I earlier were talking about all the news that was dropped last week, and there was a lot of Power Ranger news. But have you guys, now a week has passed, We've gotten time to digest everything. Corey, we're going to start with you. What's the thing you're most excited about with all that news that came out that Hasbro gave us last week?
I'm a simple boy. I'm just hyped for that new Morpher.
Really?
Yeah. Dino Fury. I always get excited for the new season, and then I always get disappointed. So I'm not even trying to get hyped until it's on.
Jezzer, you gotten a little chance to ingest everything, and you did a little, I guess, binge spending as soon as you got a lot of these announcements. You still happy with all your purchases?
Yeah, probably the one I regret a little bit would be the putties. Maybe I think that could have been something I could have waited on, but I mean I'm fine with it. It's back. It's all the way up until September, so they're not gonna charge me till then.
Wait, did you get the putties from the Hasbro Pulse?
Yeah, from Pulse. I think because the putties were on Pulse, and I think the green Psycho Ranger was on Pulse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm fine with it.
Obviously, go ahead.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine with it. It is what it is.
Obviously, we are doing a live show. We have a live chat right now. We welcome all you guys to our Saturday Power Ranger show, our real big flagship Power Ranger show here at the Illuminerdi. Thank you guys for joining us. We'd love to know where you guys are streaming us from, and we appreciate all your support. But we got a lot of you guys in the chat right now. Some familiar faces. I'd like to see some new ones in here, actually.
Let's get some new faces.
But we do have some familiar faces, and I appreciate you spending your Saturday with us. And we have even members of our own team in here, like Toku Kid. What up, man? But yeah, where are you guys watching us from? Guys, I kind of want to talk about the big meat of our episode today is going to be about this big team up. And I know that there's a lot of anticipation for it. And I know that we're going to be diving in a lot. And we're not just going to be diving in to what we can expect to see on the Nickelodeon Power Rangers Beast Morphers team up, but we're also going to dive in to what we already saw with the Super Sentai stuff. And I think what this episode's really going to be is kind of comparing and contrasting what we are going to be seeing in this big team up. But before we get into that, we do have a lot of you guys chiming in where you're watching us from. And we're going to start here with Flash, Chicago, Illinois. We got Metal Ryan from Arizona, Jared Hodges, Knoxville, Tennessee, Nathan from Ohio. The Blur is in here. What's up, man? Kawaku from New Jersey. We also got Shake Era from Houston, Texas.
Nice.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thomas Franco from Virginia. We got April.
What's
How
that?
dare you cut me off in the middle?
I'm sorry. I thought you was dying. Go ahead.
On the roll here.
I'm
We
sorry.
got from Texas, Lawrence from Michigan, Blackwing from New York, The Blur from Boston, Darth Baca from Long Island. We even got Shadow Nova from North Carolina. So thank you guys so much for spending your Saturday with us. Go ahead, Corey.
No, I was just gonna make a stupid joke.
Oh wait, now you want to make a comment?
Oh man.
Is Metal Ryan related to Ryan Still?
Oh god. Hold on. I think I got something for that. Hold on. Give me a second. There you go.
Got somebody in here from Brazil and Greece. Look at that, man. Worldwide this Saturday. Or wherever you're watching. We love it. Okay, guys. First and foremost, let's really dive in. And this is an interactive show, so if you're watching us live, it is for your benefit. If you're watching us on replay, whether that be through Facebook or through finding us, then obviously we are going to be referencing the chat, the live chat a lot. So if you're watching us on replay, come tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m., and we're going to be talking about Power Rangers. But guys, let us dive in. Now, first and foremost, Jezzer and chat, what is it that you have to see from this team up in order, bare minimum, in order for you to say, you know what, that was pretty good?
Corey?
I
know Corey has a list. Bring out that clipboard. Bring out that clip. Yeah, you do.
My expectations are like way down here.
Okay.
So I mean, a solid story and a good fight scene. That's all I care about. I already know the morph scene is not even anticipated.
What?
Did you hear me? Cut out a little bit there, Corey.
Okay. I said that my expectations are low. I just want a solid story and a good fight scene because I already know the more sequence is not there, so I'm not anticipating that.
Yeah, solid.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna reference the chat real quick. Our friend here from Greece, he says it's 4 a.m. there right now, and he's been binging Turbo. 9 episodes left. Kudos to you because Turbo is a hard binge to get through. And also, I have no idea how to pronounce your name because it is not in the English translation here. But Chezer, what are you? What would you like to see to be a bare minimum good episode?
I think using Austin in a way that's like not just like a glorified cameo, but like incorporating him fully into the story. And I think that if that's done correctly, especially since there isn't too many players that they have to build around, like you just have the Dino Charge team and Austin. So if they do his character justice, because it's been how many years since we've seen him last, not since Forever Red, then maybe it'll be a decent episode, especially since it's only half an hour.
So let's put into place what we know about the story and about everything from the American version, and then we'll start depicting things that we saw in the Japanese version, the Super Sentai version. So the number one thing that I know it's a lot of speculation, but the thing is, this particular team up is going to be 1 episode. Now, I know a lot of fans out there want more. They want it longer. I'm sure they'll shoot more and they'll do an extended episode, kind of like they did for Super Mega Force and also last season's big Dimensions in Danger team up. Not last season. Season 4's Dimension in Danger's team up, the Ninja Steel one. But this one is going to be 1 episode. And there, again, it might be an extra long episode if they shoot more footage. So I know that going in. But also, this is a caveat to the story that some of the characters that are going to be in this team up aren't just in it for this 1 episode. They might be in it for previous episodes, episodes leading up to it, or even episodes after it. That part, it's still not figured out quite yet, but that's what I do know. And it makes sense to bring the Dino Charge Rangers in beforehand, mainly because it seems like they're the ones that are going to be the misplaced in Dimensions for a little bit here. We also know who is coming back. We already know that a lot of the Dino Charge Rangers are coming back. We have Davi Santos reprising his role as Ivan. Yoshi Sudarso will be returning as Koda. Brennan Mejia is coming back as Tyler. And James Davies will be coming back as his character also. The ones that are noticeably absent, however, are Claire Blackwelder, which we'll have a story on later on this week. What's her name? Camille Hyde and Michael Tabor. They are apparently not in this episode. But I do have it on good authority that it's possible that Xenowing might be reprising his role to come back for a very brief moment. But more on that later. But guys, and we also know for the Mighty Morphin Rangers, Austin St. John is obviously coming back. And as of now, no Dino Thunder Rangers are coming back, and nor do they play a big part in this team up at all. With that information that's given, what do you guys think so far?
To be expected. I think that the Super Sentai counterpart to this was it was made for them to be able to adapt it, because I think Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, the Dino Charge Super Sentai came after the Go Busters, right?
Yeah, it was the Go Busters. They were the visiting team, so this was during the Koyuger.
So if you think about this crossover, it's actually a Dino Charge crossover that they couldn't use only because the Go Busters were in it. So I think that this is like the perfect time for them to do it. I know a lot of people are pissed off that they didn't get Connor from Dino Thunder, but it would have been a great opportunity for him to be in this one. Unfortunately, he isn't. I don't know what the reason was for why they couldn't get him, but it would have made sense getting him.
Yeah. Now, another thing is that we do know is that Kevin Duhani, who plays Ethan from Dino Thunder, was offered to come back, but that offer was pulled at the very last minute. Now, I believe I wrote an article kind of about that, but that offer was pulled due to the people that they did have coming back, and I just assume that they are going to fit them into the show, but in a very, very minimal way. So that'll be quite interesting if they do that. But again, even with Zenowing, it's a possibility he could get cut from the episode because he's not in it very much from what I hear as well. And again, so you guys can use the Ranger Wrap-Up Twitter tag. But right now, we're going to concentrate on you guys live here in the chat because we feel that it's a thank you for all you guys for joining us on this Saturday. Jezzer, why don't we go to the chat real quick?
Oh, right. Let's go to the try. Let's see. I'll go from the top because there's a few cool ones I saw. Hey, guys, let's go. Thomas Frank. Shadow Nova Productions says, what if Dino Fury is the Prime Universe version of Dino Charge? What do you guys think about that?
What if... I could understand. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're really going to dive that deep into the universe kind of the different dimension kind of stuff. I mean, obviously we know that it exists and we know that it's going to play a part here, but I don't really know how much it's going to play into the next season. I would love, like Jezzer's been wanting for a long time, I would love for them to have shot something to allude us to Dino Fury being the choice. The only thing is I don't think they did, mainly because they didn't really choose Dino Fury up until very last minute. When we announced it is pretty much when they chose it. And how long before the official announcement did it come out that we had our announcement? Was it like a week or two?
You're talking about the Dino crossover?
That they were going to be using Ryu's Soldier.
Oh, maybe a week or up
2
to
weeks?
3. Yeah, almost 3 weeks. So,
okay. So yeah, we knew 3 weeks ahead of when they actually announced it, and that's pretty much when they made that decision. Just to give you a little insight on how all that worked. So it's highly doubtful that they would have shot anything for it, mainly because they just didn't know what season they were going to use. Corey, with all the information that we do have, though, about this team-up, what do you think would be cool if they did to make fans go, wow?
Besides bring characters back?
Sure. Because we know that for the most part.
Referencing past seasons, because they hardly ever do that, and when they do it, it's like very minimal. So it's just like, oh, homeboy from Dino Charge started something up 15 years ago. That's why this evil villain is lurking around. It would be nice to have someone from the past be a threat to the present, as opposed to some new random just showing up and causing problems.
I don't think that's their main goal when they're trying to make these type of shows for kids, because a lot of kids aren't gonna go back 25 years to know that.
I'm not even saying 25 years. I mean, you have 3 Dino teams there, so I mean, why not do it? You get what I mean? I mean, the stuff's on Netflix. I mean, you have these Rangers, kids 5-10 years old now, probably never even heard of before.
Yeah, so you're gonna hear this on the commercial when they start promoting it. All right, kids, we got the Dino Ranger crossover. But before you watch it, let's reference you back to Netflix episode 4. So before you even start watching, make sure you catch up on those episodes. It's like doing a summer reading list when you're in elementary school. It's like, I don't think they're gonna do that. It's gonna be as minimal as possible.
Yeah. I think so also. Man, you got to think that there's 2 things to take into consideration here. Number one is that the most recent season besides Beast Morphers is Dino Charge. So I think in the theory of their heads, Chip Lynn's head is like, well, that's the most recent thing that people are going to remember. So let's really focus in on that. And for the big wow factor, let's do MMPR because he was a part of that. However, he was not a part of Dino Thunder, which makes a ton of sense why Dino Thunder's not getting any love in this episode. And let's be real, a lot of them don't want to come back, or didn't come back. So that's a big factor going into this also. One other thing, too, that we also have to talk about is Geki's the only one that comes back in the Japanese version. So it makes tons of sense to bring Austin back. And I know that Jason David Frank previously had stated that he was originally asked to come back and he didn't do it. But it makes a little bit more sense now that it's only Austin coming back, because I think with ADR, not even just with ADR, using some of the past things that the Rangers have done in the past, they could literally take those vocal clips, those audio clips, and put them with the new footage. And I also think a lot of things are going to be American footage also.
Yeah, I'm seeing that the this fight scene that you see on the screen now, where it's the Dino Charge Rangers against all the minions from each of the Dino series. I think that they're going to that's going to be a totally different version of that. And even this scene coming up here, I think that this is going to be different as well. I think. What do you guys think? Do you think they're going to use the Snide and the Goldar monster, or are they going to just reintroduce different suits that they haven't used before?
I do think they are going to use the Snide and Goldar monster. Absolutely.
If they use Snide and not call him Snide, I'm like, why would you do that?
Hey, Corey.
I think 1,000% Snide and Goldar are definitely making an appearance.
Corey, one word: Turbo movie and Power Rangers in space.
Oh.
That's true.
It took a while for him, but he got it.
I was like, wait up. Oh.
Yeah, so we never know. You never know. But I'm guessing they're gonna call him Snide, and
you're referencing Dino Charge, so if you neglect that, you're really just not paying attention to anything.
Mm-hmm. It'll be cool if it was actually Goldar, because see that's the thing too. Like no one really questioned if the voice of Goldar was asked to come back or to do VO for the show. Kerrigan.
It's true. Maybe it's something we should work on, huh, Jezzer?
I know. Shit, and we said it on the stream. Fuck.
It's all right. It's okay. It's not like anybody else is gonna beat us to that. It's worth noting we have a direct line of communication to him, so maybe we'll get a little bit of something there, a little bit of something. I would say it's entirely possible because he is repped by Zach, who does Galactic Productions, which is also reps Austin, so it makes a lot of sense to have both of his guys come back.
Yep. So that'd be really cool, and to have a scene. That's one thing I want. If that is Goldar and that's who they're gonna use, I want a scene with Austin and Goldar fighting each other. I think that'd just be pretty epic, you know.
The other thing too, that we have a question in here from Thea Games 10 says, how would Snide be back? Magic? Look, it's Power Rangers. They could bring him back just to bring him back. I don't really feel like Power Rangers does a great job of really explaining a lot of things.
Sledge was in Ninja Steel.
What?
Sledge was in Ninja Steel.
Yeah. So
wasn't that like Sledge from the past?
Okay.
That whole time,
Okay.
Are the Dino Charge Rangers still Rangers? Because then they prevented what's.
Okay, bring out that transparent whiteboard. Here we go.
So are they still Rangers or are they not?
Man, you're gonna give yourself a headache.
I'm gonna buy him that transparent whiteboard and send it to his house, and he can figure out the timeline.
I don't know. I don't really think that I don't think that there's Power Ranger enough people that are in the office being like, okay, well we can't do this because so-and-so wasn't in this episode, so we can't cross. There's nobody in Power Rangers continuity in an office being like, oh, we can't do that. Like
they don't give a fuck.
Even Jason David Frank for Super Mega Force had to be like, they had to go in and digitally color his Morpher gold and get rid of the silver streaks in his helmet because he said something about it. Like, if the brand can't even figure that out, I'm pretty sure they're not so worried that the fans are going to care either. And another thing too is this: you got to think this team up. Yes, it is kind of like a pat on the back for older fans like us to be like, "Oh, that's cool," but they don't necessarily give a fuck.
They don't care
what we think.
They don't care.
We're just gonna have to enjoy it, and I do respect it mainly because I do know that a lot of the people that have worked at Saban for such a long time. This is their final hurrah. This is what they wanted to do with everything they're given. So, hopefully that it pans out for them.
I see a comment in the chat. Shake Era 6 says Hasbro creates a R&D development just for the show. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. I don't think that's in their budget for what Power Rangers is outputting.
Hey,
Yeah.
I gotta dip out.
Aw, damn, I have to change the freaking screen.
I'm sorry.
All right, later, Corey.
Later, Corey.
See ya.
So it's just you and I, Jesse.
You and me. All right. The restraints are off now. We could talk. We could say whatever we want right now.
So yeah, I mean, let's dive into the Japanese one a little bit and figure out what they're going to take and what they're not going to take. Now, I think that there's a lot of liberties in the Super Sentai version of this team up. There are certain elements they can use, but you can tell right away there's certain elements they're not going to use. Like, they're not going to turn Connor evil. I'm very curious to see if they turn Jason evil, though. That's going to be interesting to see.
What would you have him be evil? I think I want him evil. Like, for just a little bit. It doesn't have to be too long.
I think that is going to happen. I mean, I definitely think so. I think Austin liked portraying that version of Jason in Turbo, and I think it makes a ton of sense to get the character from point A to point B. And it's actually the only thing, though, that I'm afraid of, that it feels like a little bit of a redo from what they did in Dimensions in Danger, where they're kind of like powering, it's one person that they kind of kidnap to power this evil.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense because they can easily transition and explain why all the other Rangers aren't there with Jason. I think it's a pretty smart way to get out of it. So I gotta give them credit for that. It seems like they have a good way of integrating why Jason's teammates aren't with him.
Yeah. And it's just gonna be like, because from the trailer, what we got, Jason interacting with why am I blanking on his name? It's mainly because they don't use him enough in the show. The Red Ranger from Beast Morphers. What's his name?
Devin.
Huh?
Devin.
I think that interaction between them will be probably midway through the episode. But
I also think we're going to get a lot of cool scenes with Tyler that maybe people aren't expecting. I think we'll get a lot of cool scenes with Tyler.
I think it's gonna be a very Brennan heavy episode for sure.
I do too, and I kind of get the feeling of that as well. I was trying to do some math here real quick, and just try to figure this out. So that team up episode that we watched for Super Sentai, it was a movie. It was an hour-long movie.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the United States, it'll probably be cut down to 22 minutes, roughly 22, 23 minutes, and it'll be one episode. Now, I was trying to figure this out. So Power Ranger episodes cost anywhere in the neighborhood between like $600,000 to $800,000 an episode. Now, I think a lot of you might think that's high, but the average television show nowadays costs anywhere between it's like $1 in $10 million.
Oof.
So Power Rangers is actually low end of that scale.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, if they just did this, like shot it like a TV show, just like they normally would, just shot a couple extra episodes, but released it in theaters, would it still make enough money to justify it?
The overhead costs and all the costs to put in theaters, don't you think that would kind of scare away the production company? It's like it's an expense that we don't really need to take advantage of because we have this outlet where we can release it to the masses and it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that. I feel that, like, just with the fan base alone, would they turn out to see that movie? And if not, then never do it again. But at the same time, it's a huge gamble. But at the same time, it really does put the power in the fans' hands. Because it's kind of like, hey, you wanted an extra long episode. Cool. Now, if you guys aren't showing up to do it, we're not going to do it again because it doesn't justify it monetarily.
Now, do you think, solely based on what you saw with the Sentai, do you think that they're going to up the Beast Morphers roles in this versus how they handled them in the Super Sentai?
Say that question one more time.
Do you think they're gonna have a bigger role? Essentially, is what I'm saying. Like the Beast Morphers.
The Beast Morpher team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know because everything that it's leading up to it feels very much like everything really revolves around the Dino Charge team.
Mm-hmm. Especially with all the footage that was leaked and all that, all the pictures and set photos. It looks like they're trying to replicate it as close as they can.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things. I mean, I think that a lot of this footage is very transferable. I feel like I'm sure they shot some American footage, but I feel like if they're going to adapt a lot of their Japanese footage, this would be the team up to do it.
Yeah.
Because even with the roll call, like since we have old roll calls in the past from these Rangers, they could just easily put that in.
Yeah, very easily, and then it wouldn't have to cost anything really because they're just reusing footage they already own, which is fine.
Exactly. Now I think that's the brilliance of the show. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm a little disappointed though that not one Dino Thunder character is coming back, and I think that's kind of sucks, man. That's one of the stronger seasons, you know?
Yeah. Where is Connor's character, like the actor? Where does he live? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head. No, I know he's directing a lot now and producing or something.
But he also has a twin brother, so they could have maybe reached out to his twin brother, pull a Paul Walker on that shit.
He doesn't have a real twin brother in real life.
Doesn't he?
No, man. I think that's only in the show.
No. No, wasn't he his brother on the Ninja Storm season?
That was him. He played a different character.
No, it's not. It's not. Is it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh man.
Did you really not know this? You joking?
I didn't watch Ninja Storm, and I barely remember what do you call it? Dino Thunder. I remember parts.
Yeah.
Of
So
it.
that was him. And that was him, James Napier, as a young student, and everyone realized they were like, dude, this is the same guy that's in Ninja Storm. So they wrote it in and like, oh yeah, my twin brother goes to that academy.
Oh damn! I thought they were pulling a Sean and Aaron Ashmore type thing like they did in Smallville.
I mean, that would be. I could see that. That would be kind of cool if that happened.
Do you remember that shit?
Yeah, that's not happening. I do. You know what's funny, man? I was looking on Cameo, and I was totally gonna buy you for your birthday a Michael Rosenbaum happy birthday for you on Cameo.
Is he an expensive guy? Some of those people are expensive as fuck.
I don't think he's. Some of them are. I don't think he's that expensive. But I think that if anybody wants to give Jezra a shout out,
a cameo
for his birthday or whatever, maybe get him. Go to cameo.com and get him Michael Rosenbaum. I think you would make his life.
Dude, I
have a few of the Office people like you should totally get Kevin from The Office.
Yeah, Kevin does it. I saw Kevin does it. That'd be so dope. I'm gonna, dude. Whoever thought of Cameo is that's a pretty smart idea. That's a pretty smart idea.
It is smart.
Like it really makes a lot of some of these celebrities super accessible and. Like if you're giving it as a gift to someone that doesn't know about Cameo or know about the situation, it just like amplifies the whole thing. It's like, what the fuck? Like you just don't tell them where you got it from. You could crop out that little Cameo watermark on it.
Right.
Versus how Joe does it. Joe always like gets us the little shout outs while he's during interviews. And it's just like, oh man, that must be so freaking awkward. Cameo here. Do this.
That must be a very expensive cameo to get Chris Hemsworth to do a shout out, right? Like he's not a cameo.
Who are the biggest shout outs that you've gotten for people?
I've only done it with two people. I did it with Chris Hemsworth and I did it with John Hamm.
Who is Chris Hemsworth one for?
Ciara Hanna.
Oh fuck. That's so crazy. That is so crazy.
And I think John Hamm's was for Migdalia. But yo, let's go to the chat real quick, Jezza. Hit me with some chat, or hit us with some chat.
Oh, Heirloom's in here. He says was trying to catch up on things. So he showed up maybe because of the title. Who else? We got Thea Games 10. Based on one of the past Beast Morpher trailers, it looks like the past Rangers and suits will pose instead of the big roll call, which makes me sad.
Yeah, So this is the thing. They could put the roll call in because they could literally take the footage that's in the in the Super Sentai version of the movie. But for time, there is no way that's getting in there.
And
mainly because it's just take too much time.
Yeah, and they could have easily got some VO work because there are a ton of studios here in LA that will record it for you and then send it up to New Zealand, so that wouldn't really have cost them too much. But I think it's just convenience. If it's, for them doing like a 22-minute episode, they're gonna cut so many corners.
Whoa, Heirloom! It's 2:30 in the morning where Heirloom's at.
Dang, what's he doing up? I think he's from London.
Crazy.
What else? Flash
Thanks for joining.
says, you guys think there will be a teaser to Dino Fury, like real soldier swords stuck in a meteor or stone, or just crashing into the background Rangers without them noticing? No. Absolutely not. I don't think so.
And again, the reason why I don't think that is because that choice for Dino Fury wasn't made until the last minute. And not last minute, but it was made like right around the time we announced it. Like we literally announced it when that decision was made. And that was like 3 weeks before it got announced at Toy Fair. So if you think about that, they were clearly done shooting for a while at that point. So it's not like they would go back and put that in. If they had the foresight, though, to do that, I will say give them credit. That's quite amazing. You guys both know, we all know Power Rangers. This probably isn't going to happen.
There's a lot of comments in here saying, what episode is it? I don't know exactly which it is, but I'm probably 80% sure it's episode 18. 80%.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of the cast have been talking about episode 18 as their favorite one in the series. So I'm guessing it's episode 18. What else?
That means it's going to be like almost before the finale.
Yeah, it probably towards the end. If anything, all that stuff is going to ramp down, start ramping down right after that, and I think that's where we're going to be getting the multiple episodes with like the Dino Charge Rangers and all that. And then, at what point in time do you anticipate they're going to introduce Dr. K? Before or after?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know?
They wouldn't like to know.
If I'm, and this is me taking a stab in the dark because I don't know yet. But I would go ahead and say it's either the episode right before the finale or it's the finale episode.
You know what I anticipate it to be, actually? I think it is going to be the first episode back from hiatus.
Do you?
I think that she's going to play a major, major role in the separation between Mayor Daniels and why am I blanking on his name right now? The villain's name. I think she's.
You know what I find funny about this whole conversation, Jazzer, is you just called him Mayor Daniels and you couldn't remember the Red Ranger's first name. That's crazy to me.
Can you blame me? There's a lot of stories going on with Mayor Daniels. A lot of stories going on with Nate, but we're not getting barely any. What's his name again? Frick.
I love this question. In the chat from Abram the Realtor. He says, "Is Hasbro legally unable to use VO for the Rangers who won't be in the episode?" No, they absolutely can use the VO, mainly just like the same way they can put out toys of any of these Rangers because they own the images and voices of the Rangers when they were on that season, so they can absolutely use VO and images.
Going on that, do you think at the time that Power Rangers was created, the way that Saban ran things and how he made his deals, do you think it was a smart idea or a bad idea how he handled those contracts and the royalties?
You mean with the original 5 Rangers?
With the original 5 Rangers and with every series going on, because it wasn't. I think it was up until Wild Force where they stopped making figures with the likeness of the actors themselves. I think that was something that they're trying to avoid, having to pay royalties to them. How do you think Saban handled those contracts?
So, great question, and I'm going to give you a 2-part answer here. So, fun fact for a lot of you fans that don't know this or are thinking about auditioning for the show, which auditions are still going on. I'm just going to let you guys know that right now. But one thing is when you sign a contract with Power Rangers, you're also signing your likeness and appearance away so that they can monetize it even after you leave the show. Somebody that one of the first people that actually said, no, I'm not cool with that, not in Power Rangers though, was actually Carrie Fisher from Star Wars. So she actually got very little money up front for Star Wars and ended up making a lot of money on her likeness for Princess Leia. The Power Rangers just signed away their likeness rights so they can make toys or video games or whatever, comic books based on their likeness. Now, was it a good idea for Saban? Yeah, in terms of business, it was. But he totally didn't have to do that. He really did dick over a lot of the original Rangers that were there. Even to this day, I think that like it's still a thing that like these kids, or when they are kids, they get treated like pieces of meat. And then once the show's over, they're just left out in the dust, and they don't really have much to show for it. I mean, obviously they're doing appearances now, but you got to think 10 years ago or so, like appearances weren't really that heavily a thing, you know? So, you know, obviously they're all still doing their own thing, and they're all very successful in their own way. But I feel that like Saban, when the show blew up, he should have really taken care of the people that brought him, that helped him get to that dance.
But because the reason I bring that up, because I've been following a lot of like contract negotiations when a smaller brand is picked up by a bigger company. Let me ask you this, Joe. So let's say NBC Universal hits us up, right? And they make a deal.
Right.
They make a deal with us for a contract with us, and they say, all right, so you're gonna be able to create your own content. You're gonna be able to distribute your own content. We're not going to interfere too much with that side, but we're just legally obligating you to releasing a certain amount of shows every week. So let's say they pay us like a set amount, $1 million, right, for the to continue working for them. Let's say that it's a big hit. We make NBC Universal. I'm just saying this name because it's just the first thing that comes out of my head. NBC Universal, just tons of money. But because of our contract, we are not legally allowed to touch any of that money, or that does not affect how much they're paying us in general. Usually with contract disputes like that, how many years would you want in the contract for contract negotiation, like for them to renegotiate a new contract?
So the question is, how many years is a sufficeable number?
Because usually it's what, two years to kind of like go back.
I mean, so Power Rangers, Toku actually has a question similar. He says, doesn't the contract, Toku Kid says, doesn't the contract also specifically say that they can't work on other gigs that could interfere with the image of the brand during the 2 years of the show while it's airing? Actually, it's 3 years now. So you sign 3-year contracts to do that. You have to get everything approved by them even after the fact. But I know that that stuff is pretty loose with Power Rangers. At least it had been with Saban, because other people would just go and do other things anyways without getting it approved. And it's not really anything they're going to do. I mean, I guess technically Saban it could have sued him, but there's no way that they were going to. So it didn't really matter at that point anyway. I personally think 3 years is a good kind of like gauge for that. I mean, essentially what you just asked is the Scottie Pippen question from The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Like he signed a very long-term contract, and eventually just he outplayed that contract, but they never gave him more money because that's the amount of time he signed for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially the scenario that you're talking about. And I think it's a hard question, man, because like right now, if they told both you and I, hey, we'll give you $5 million or $1 million right now to make as much content as you want, we just need this, this, and this. Let's be honest, dude. I think we would both probably sign it.
I'd sign it.
And then if it became a huge success, it'd be like, oh well.
Yeah,
you know,
but legally, if we were a huge success, it's out of our control. We signed the contract. So if it were to go the opposite way and we were a dud, the company would lose out so much money, but we would still be getting the money that they promised to us. So it all comes around to perspective. This is why it gave me a different perspective on the ordeal with the original Rangers and how that played out. And it kind of like I definitely see both sides. But I see why Hasbro was not obligated to even consider contract negotiations with them, especially since they had such a unique contract to begin with.
Hey, Martha's in the chat. To answer your question, Abram, he wonders if the contracts were changed when Hasbro took over. They were not.
No.
I think the only thing that did change is that they added on a year, but I believe that they may have done that for Ninja Steel also.
Mm-hmm.
So that may have started at Ninja Steel. So they added, instead of a 2-year contract, it was a 3-year contract. So that was that. Yeah.
Ranger.
When people like,
huh? Go ahead.
want to know about the like this side of it, to me is something that I don't know. I feel like a lot of other Ranger shows, I mean, no offense to them, I like a lot of these other Ranger shows, but I feel like they don't really dive into this side of it like we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just know so much about the business side, but it's kind of crazy, huh?
Well, it's because a lot of the business side is my background, so I like just looking back at it, and then especially like you said with Last Dance, it's like, oh, okay, well, I see how Scottie Pippen felt like cheated and mistreated with them, but I also see how they justified it. Flash says, any news on Power Rangers Dino Fury lasting 1 or 2 seasons with the whole Nickelodeon deal?
And see this?
Huh?
Let me see my phone real quick.
It's blank. Hold on. It's a light. Hold on. Oop.
Anyway, what it has right now is up on the screen. I'm not going to show it, but it has all the casting information for this season 28 on it. And really some stuff about it. It has some sensitive information in there about what they're.
It's the digital version of the little black book, right? Where
it's
is
the
that
digital
thing?
version of Little Black Book. That's correct. What was your question though? You were talking about The Last Dance, right?
No. Flash says, any news on the Power Rangers Dino Fury lasting 1 or 2 seasons with the whole Nickelodeon deal?
Yeah, I have an answer to that I cannot.
We can't say that yet.
Cannot say that yet, but I do know. I absolutely do know. But we can't say that. Sorry. But I promise you, give me a few weeks. I promise you, I will give you that information.
I don't know if we've discussed this before. In the if we were to put yourself in the shoes of the original 6, whose side would you be on?
It depends. If you're asking me if I was one of them, I would say I would. If you're asking me and I was actually one of them, I would be on JDF's side. But if you're asking me in terms of actual business, I'm on Austin's side.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this kind of hits a little close to home because we kind of came across that situation towards the end of the year too, and we chose Austin's side.
What are you talking about?
The situation that we are with our new channel.
Oh, yeah. We definitely chose Austin's side. There was a big difference though, because I feel that like that's like the whole cast leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like our situation is a little different because it was everybody leaving.
Yeah. I think the whole cast initially, I think that's what they thought was going to happen. I think that.
I think a big part of it too when we left is that for the most part all of us stayed unified.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were all in contact with each other on a giant like text chain, giving information out. So like it wasn't like they could tell one of us something and it wasn't going to go to everybody else because we were all pretty open during that negotiation period.
Yeah.
What's going on? We read some more questions. I like this. I like these questions from these.
After the Nickelodeon contract ends, where do you think the show will end up, and where you want it to?
I would like to see it on Netflix.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. But I would like to see it on Netflix personally.
Yeah.
I think that like with Power Rangers just in general, I mean with most things in general, even if you watch like some of these Disney shows for kids, it's also available on their streaming services.
Yeah.
So I feel that like, why not Power Rangers? You know what I mean? Same thing.
Yeah, I would like to see it on Netflix. I mean, I think that's the perfect place for them. I just don't know. I don't know how Hasbro is going to handle the new property. I mean, if they handle it like they did with their Transformers animated series, maybe I would love to see an animated series if they were to go in that direction. But I honestly, when you look at a franchise and you look into the you kind of see into the future. Oh, I can imagine it going here. I can imagine going here. Like one of my favorite franchises is Fast and Furious, and I already know where it's going. Like I know what they're trying to do, what they're trying to change it into. I can't do that with Power Rangers because the moves that they've been making have been very erratic and very up and down. It's just been up and down. So I don't know where they're going with it. So that's crazy. It's crazy. I hope that they, follow suit with the comics and like appeal to a larger Power Ranger audience, but I think that still their main goal is to sell toys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously their main goal is to sell toys. So this is a great question from Martha. Won't Power Rangers land on the Paramount Network instead of Netflix? It's possible. Right now, nothing's set in stone. I feel it's really going to be about. I mean, it's possible that it could be at Paramount, but also be on Netflix. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't be able to do both. It really all depends on the success of what Paramount does with their network, because I don't really know what the Paramount Network, what else is going to be on there. Or unless you're meaning the actual Paramount like channel, a lot of people don't have access to that. So I think that they got to look at the future, and I think that Netflix Power Rangers been performing decently. So I mean, if it ain't broke, you know what I mean?
This is a pretty good one, because it kind of like earlier this week we got the announcement that HBO Max will be getting the Snyder Cut version of Justice League, right? So the Blur asked a question: do you think Power Ranger fans could be successful in changing something for Power Rangers like fans have done with getting the Snyder Cut done? Yes.
That is a great question, actually.
That is a very great question. Go ahead. What do you think?
I think Power Ranger fans already did it, right? They had the show last to Lost Galaxy. It went past RPM. I think that's happened. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if the fan base is as vocal as the Snyder Cut folks, though.
Yeah,
it's a different animal.
It's just a bigger group. And then once you got the actual actors in on the whole thing, I think that's what helped push it even further.
So. I mean, if you think about it, though, I think it's hard. Like, I think there's a bigger chance of obviously the of the original Justice League members coming back to reprise their roles for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Than there are for the original Power Rangers to reunite for anything else.
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, what would you to the Blur? What would you want the fans to push forward, or what would you want them to change within the Power Ranger universe? That question goes out to all of you. What would if the fans had the power, optimistically, if fans had the power to change stuff within the series, what would you guys want changed?
That would make me the showrunner, obviously.
Your first duty as showrunner, what is it?
My first duty as showrunner?
Yes.
Like first day on the job, very first task?
Yes.
Pour a cup of coffee. Second task, I would actually, my first task in that job would actually be I would personally hire the writers that are going to be writing the show with me.
Okay.
The first thing I would do is a massive overhaul of who would stay and who would go. It's number one. After I would figure that out, I would make sure that I have the writers that I want, and I would make sure that I committed myself to making sure that Power Rangers was not just for this young growing audience, for all these kids that buy toys, but also for a lot of the people that are here in the chat that are watching Power Rangers because they grew up loving it. I honest to God do not understand why Power Rangers can't grow up with its audience. I really can't, because to me, I get the mindset. I understand I can even picture it in a meeting, like in a corporate meeting with all these Hasbro executives being like, well, Power Rangers is a kids brand and it's only for kids, so we don't have to, because it's so easy. But it's like, dude, there are so many other things that you can be doing with the brand to grow it and nourish it and make it flourish. Power Rangers has never tipped the iceberg. They have never scratched the surface to the way that they could by using a lot of other elements to their advantage. I think Saban was kind of starting to understand that towards not Haim Saban, but the company was starting to understand that towards the end of his run there, because that's when we started getting Hyperforce. The comics were great. They got the Boom Studios deal. They got the Lionsgate movie. They understood. They're like, okay, it's kind of back in the public side. How do we capitalize on it? And then Hasbro took it over. And for as many people, and it's crazy, I think about this a lot too, that you and I both know,
okay,
that like when things happen, right? Like we all can complain about them at the time. Because I remember at the time, people were like, oh, how come Hasbro's doing this? How come Hasbro's doing that? I don't think we realized how good it was towards that end of that Hasbro run. Because now, I mean, a lot of people love the end of the Saban run. A lot of people love this Hasbro era, but outside of toys, like you and I were talking about, they haven't really done anything.
Not yet, no. I mean, nothing drastically has changed from the Saban era on the TV show side. Comic books have been running separately. I mean, they've been just Boom has been handling them separately, and they have had little to no effect on them. But yeah, other than the toys, no. So, I mean, towards the end of Saban, we were getting a lot of like fan service stuff, and I think that. I don't know, like if you're on your way out, is that like a thing that people do? Let's say you're leaving a job. Do you start spoiling everybody at the job and then just bounce out? No, it actually kind of tapers off to the point where you start not giving a shit about anything as you're about to leave. You know what I mean?
Before we left the place that we were at before, Jezer, you didn't care about anything. You didn't. You were the least enthusiastic to do anything, and the things that you'd want to do were all the things that'd be like, oh, we're doing this, like we're gonna.
I don't remember.
Just take me back to that memory. It was crazy.
Actually, like towards the end of where we left, I was like lining up some pretty solid guests. That was towards the end, man. We were almost at the end. And we're leaving, and I was like, oh man, I should have just saved. Like looking back at it now, I should have just saved it for later. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that was actually, but we went in with a plan, knowing exactly what we were gonna do, because now look at us and look where we were. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that with this very specifically, with Power Rangers very specifically, a lot of people are like, hey, or I just saw a comment in here that was that said something like Power Rangers can go to, where is it? I think it was Thomas Franco, where he was saying they could do 40 to 45 episodes. Not in America, they're not going to do that, and that doesn't work anymore. Television just doesn't run that way anymore.
No.
Most seasons now, I remember back like during the era of like Lost, when seasons were like 22 episodes, and then they shorted it down to like 16. Now a typical season for a TV show is 13 to 13 episodes, and even that's getting shorter. That's the British style of television where it's like 8 episode like miniseries. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Let's see. We got Kim, who's our Greek friend in here. He says, Joe, you mentioned something about Xenowing earlier, and you said that you would come back to it later, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I will come back to it later, meaning in an article or another episode. There's certain things about that character. I mean, I know that he's in it, but
the voice actor passed, so I mean, but that's an easy like as sad it is to say, that's an easy solution for them to fix.
Right. So that's not something that's going to really hinder anything. So yeah. So so that was what I would do day one is make those changes. I would make sure that would happen for the fans. I would make sure that I would actually bring. I mean, it also depends on a few things too, because like budget restraints, like what you have to. That's the number one. That's another thing you have to figure out. Is like how much money you're going to get per episode, and how can you make $1 last?
Especially when you're in a company with Hasbro, where you're just a little branch in the whole tree. And if Hasbro says we don't want to invest too much money into this division of Hasbro and everything, we're gonna have to monitor how your output is, and then based on that, the next year is when we'll kind of reevaluate how we're gonna redistribute the assets.
Yeah. So. That's that. Let's get back to this team up, because that's what a lot of people want to know about. So I want to talk about the plot specifically, because that's what people came here to talk about. With what we do know, we obviously do know that the Dino Charge Rangers are playing a huge role into this, and we also know that Austin is the only Mighty Morphin Ranger coming back. I also know that there is a reference, and it's a pretty throwaway line, but there is a reference to the Gold Ranger in there too. I wish that a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to wish that Austin has a Master Morpher, but he won't be turning into the Gold Ranger in this episode, even though that would be super cool for me.
Yeah.
But it's chances are it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but a lot of people want to see the characters just interact. Now, I don't know if 22 minutes is enough for a lot of those characters to interact, because you're going to have how many characters on screen together? Roughly 5, 9, about 10. It's gonna be hard to juggle that, because even with Dimensions in Danger, which I thought was actually a pretty good team up, there's not a lot of focus on a lot of the other characters like TJ. I almost forgot TJ was in the episode.
No, TJ was in the Legendary Battle.
He's also in.
Oh yeah.
He's also.
Was he?
Whoa. Yeah, he's the blue space. Exactly.
Yeah. Whoa, that's crazy. I totally forgot. Same with Rocky. He had like one line. Rocky had one line. Gemma barely had a line. It was super quick.
Yeah.
So 20, let's say realistically 22-minute episode. You're gonna get the plot. I think the way that they divided it up is going to be they're gonna give Dino Charge a good portion of the story, like a good chunk of the story, which makes sense. But it will for people watching Beast Morphers, they'll feel a little lost why we're getting, like, if they didn't watch Dino Charge, why we're getting a show with different characters and we're not really following our main characters that we've been following for the past 17 episodes leading up to, or 17 and another season leading up to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Now I know a lot of people have been talking about where how come, certain things happening, like how come it's only one episode for the team up, or how come Power Rangers doesn't get any love on Nickelodeon. That's not actually a Hasbro fault. Now I know that Jezra and I are I don't want to say we're harsh on Hasbro, because I don't think that's the case. I think we're very fair with our assessment of Hasbro, but the truth is, it's not Hasbro's fault. They get kind of screwed over with the time slot. I know that's been a big problem for a lot of fans, myself included. It's actually a Nickelodeon problem, because it's not, and Jezra and I know this firsthand, it's not a Nickelodeon-produced show. It is a Hasbro-produced show, or at the time, even Saban-produced show. And they are not going to put as much effort into a property that they don't actually own. And we were told this very firsthand. Jezra, you remember that?
Yeah.
So with Nickelodeon really pushing out their own content, it would make a lot of sense that this next year would be its last year on Nickelodeon. Or whenever the contract kind of comes up, it doesn't seem like that would be extended. Now, normally the contract usually rolls over. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case anymore. So finding a new home for Power Rangers would be no pun intended, paramount for them to have their stuff together. I do think, though, that Power Rangers on Netflix would be the better choice, though.
Power Rangers Netflix would be the better choice. If they were to go to Netflix, do you think the format of the whole show will change?
I don't think so, because if you look at Power Rangers for the most part, it's pretty one and done episodes. Like I feel like even in Beast Morphers, you can kind of flip around any episode and not necessarily be lost.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they do a good job of that. But I do think that, and again, this is where I think that the storytelling kind of falls short a little bit for me, is that there's no real stakes, number one, but there's also no drawn out, like, long story that you can actually sink your teeth into. There's no big payoffs. And I think that even with Austin coming back, it would have been cool to see some Easter eggs leading up to that. I just don't like when it comes out of left field, out of nowhere. Then you're kind of like, huh? Like, what?
Well, yeah, with Dimensions in Danger, they had Jason Font kind of sneak in an episode before the whole thing. And Yoshi. And I think that would be a great way for them to do it, to introduce these characters, only because for fans that didn't follow Mighty Morphin or didn't follow Dino Charge, they're not going to know what's going on. So if it all comes down to a line, Devin says, "Oh, Jason, what are you doing here? You're the original Red Ranger of the Power Rangers," or whatever. And then that's it. And then they do that stupid thing where they show, like, the helmet over his head, a silhouette over his head, and then that's it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way that they went, but I wish that they would plant seeds. And I feel like with a show like Beast Morphers, at least compared to Ninja Storm, they have been planting seeds for other things. So I wouldn't be so new to them to do that before this Dino crossover.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that look, the outlook on Power Rangers, I want to be super optimistic, and we're going to have a lot of news about it because this is what we do. This is what we love. We love Power Rangers. I mean, look, sometimes we're harsh on the brand because we just want better for it, and we want better for the viewers. I think that, like I said, if we're going to invest our hard-earned money into a franchise, the least we can be doing is getting some of the stuff we like. Just be heard a little bit would be cool with me. But I think with Jason Bischoff really not there anymore, I think there's a big disconnect with the audience and the brand. And I think that Jason Bischoff bridged that gap quite nicely. I actually know this for a fact. Jason Bischoff he's not with Hasbro anymore, but he planned out, I think it was a decent amount of Lightning Collection waves. He knew exactly which figures he wanted to include in the Lightning Collection for a long amount of time, even to the waves we're getting now. So he had his finger on the pulse. And when you don't have somebody that knows the brand like he did with the people that run the brand now, it's a big problem. Or, the other way about that is that, yes, it's a big problem, but it's also it could be something brand new. Who knows? But I do look at it as a big problem.
The Blur says, as a writer for the Illuminerdi, is it possible to get a copy of the digital black book? Bro, I don't even get a copy of it, so you're not gonna get a copy of it.
The way that all works, a lot of people. It's so funny. Is a lot of people want to know, like, hey, like, because the little black book is a real thing, but a lot of people want to know that, like, I don't give out any of that information. Only certain people. Like, Jezer has a big story from that book that we haven't put out yet. But he doesn't know everything in that book, and I only give people the things that they need to know. And
that's how a smart person should do it. That's it. What's the line that the Joker said in Dark Knight? If you're good at something, don't do it for free.
Yeah, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. But that I promise you that's going to be a big story that we're going to be releasing. The only reason it's taking so long is because we want to make sure we have every fact checked before we put the story out.
Yes.
Because it's big. It's pretty big.
Huge, humongous.
I want to talk about season 28 before we end this show.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I got one more question before I forget about it. When Dimensions in Danger came out, Saban or Bandai released a bunch of figures from that series. You remember they had the Red Ranger with that weird, crappy shield. Do you think we are going to be getting something like that from Hasbro, where it will be Power Ranger? Maybe we're going to get surprised with a Dino Thunder Red Ranger, or we're going to get surprised with more Dino Charge Rangers in the Lightning Collection set.
How about this? Wouldn't it be cool if we got because Hasbro always does these. I remember with the Marvel Legends line, they did a whole team of like Alpha Flight, or they would do like whole teams of like whatever Marvel franchise it was. How cool would it be if they did like the whole, like, a box set of the whole, like, Dino Thunder team or the Dino Charge team? You know what I mean?
That would be dope. I mean, just from this line alone, from this episode alone, we're just missing Coda and who's the other one we're missing? What? Coda.
We're missing a lot, actually.
And we're missing. But from the actors that are actually returning,
we're missing Coda and
James.
And James, yeah. I always forget like James's characters.
Heirloom says it wouldn't be surprised me that they would bring out Dino Thunder or something. Yeah, I really do think they're gonna be, because they've been their release schedule. They have their main release, which is the regular waves, and then they have these like figures that.
Thank you, Arlen.
They're releasing this random things throughout the season, and I think that closer to that season we are gonna get maybe we even get the Goldar or the Snide figures. That'd be really cool, because those would look. What? No,
you're right, Jezra. I think, I believe that we're gonna get another Goldar figure, but that's gonna be the original Goldar from the MMPR show, I believe. But we are getting another Goldar. I do have a question for everybody in the chat though. Is you obviously, there's 61 of you guys watching. Thank you. We really do appreciate it. But I'm curious, do you guys like when we focus more on this kind of like business side of the talk? Or do you guys like more of the backstage stuff, which we kind of talk about too? Or do you want us to focus more on like the actual just show? and like do more like reviews and comic reviews, because I feel like we've kind of veered away from doing a lot of the review stuff, mainly because so many other channels do that. I don't feel like I mean, we can do that stuff, and we have great people that can do it. But what do you guys look for when you kind of check out our show? Because we do really want to make this show for you guys, just with our spin on it.
Yeah, there is a comment earlier that they've been posting this on every video for the past few weeks. Bat Mike says, have they talked about Heroes of the Grid, Kickstarter, Psycho Rangers, and General Vengeance?
So why don't we do this for next week? Why don't we do we'll talk about Heroes from the Grid next week, unless we get more news.
Here's my take on it. So like you said, if this was like a regular other news channel, you'll have a bunch of people jumping on certain news, right? And then once it reaches a certain time, is it relevant or even useful to be regurgitating news that's old or even that's been said many times over from different outlets?
Wait, say that again?
Like, is it worth us talking about like old news when it's been said by many other different outlets?
I mean, most of the people that I'm reading in the chat, we have a lot of you guys chiming in on it. I like, this is the feedback that I wanted to kind of get.
Yeah.
So Ranger says, I like the balance of information. Y'all split up. Y'all spit. We got Ronald Doe says business and backstage is more interesting. Mikey loves it all. Heirloom was telling Thomas about the Lightning Collection. Blackwing says backstage stuff. Jared says, yeah, he likes the business backstage info. He's into that. Matthew Thompson says he talks about Eddie Gazillion. Toku says he likes more of the business stuff so fans can understand you can't do everything a fan wants. That's a great point, actually. Jezra and I talk about that all the time. A lot of you guys like the behind-the-scenes stuff, so I think that, if you guys like that stuff, it's going to be the format we stick with. The truth is, like, and that's another thing, too. I was just having this conversation with one of our writers, Bryce West, who you guys will meet on the show very soon, because he's going to be filling in for whenever somebody can't do it. Also, we still got Justin Toku in rotation as well as Daniel. But Bryce West, man, him and I were just talking. This is a great conversation for all you guys in the chat and you too, Jezzer. The way that Hasbro, even Saban handled Power Ranger news is that they only have really official news. Everything else is stuff that we kind of run, or some other websites like No Pink Spandex and a few others like run. But I was realizing it, like, we break a lot of Marvel news, right? Like, because there's a lot of Marvel news to break, and there's a lot more to talk about. But I feel with Power Rangers, if Power Rangers were just a little bit more free with information and worked with outlets a little bit, there could be so much more buzz about the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
I agree, 100% agree. Everything that we are releasing on Power Rangers, we get a lot of feedback that why are you releasing this? What's the point of releasing this? Why are you spoiling the news? It's fake news. But like I said many times before, this is the same stuff that Marvel and DC and Disney, even Disney, like Disney Plus stuff, get on regular basis throughout different outlets. So it's nothing different. I think the reason why we get those kind of reactions is because they're not accustomed to it from this side of the fandom. And I think that if we are able to change that feeling or change that culture within the Power Ranger news side, I think it'll be a whole different world. And I'm excited to see what type of world that is, because a lot of other outlets, certain outlets, they are handcuffed to the idea of, if it's not official news, I should not talk about it. But outside of this fandom, it's normal for situations like this to happen for anything.
Now, for you guys in the chat, I'm just curious because I think it was earlier this week we released an exclusive that Jezzer did actually about Claire Blackwelder wanting to reprise her role for the Power Rangers live-action stage show. Now, the person that actually wrote that article was Bryce, and he took a lot of heat for it for a little bit, for it not being an exclusive, and who cares about that kind of news? And I feel that, like, well, obviously it isn't exclusive because she's the only person she's talked to about it was us. And secondly, it's kind of cool just keeping up with what some of the other actors are doing or some of their ambitions. And I feel like we got to keep Power Rangers kind of in that light. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're giving him heat because it wasn't exclusive. Wasn't an exclusive?
they don't think that. I mean, it's not a huge story, but it's kind of a cool story that she's willing to come back to reprise her role on the stage show. I think that's a cool story.
Mm-hmm. It's by all means, exclusive means that it's news exclusively to the outlet, so it is an exclusive. It's maybe the level of exclusivity isn't what you expect, but it is an exclusive. And I think, honestly, it's a great story. They'll be seeing the footage later on, maybe next month. But just like I've been enjoying like having conversations with these Rangers and not having them feel like they have to talk about Power Rangers. It's like this. It's this feeling that you notice, that it just escapes their body when they feel like they're not required to talk about it. It's like, let's say you're talking to somebody, and you know this a lot, Joe, when you're talking to somebody that's been doing the interview circuit for a while, like for the whole day, when you're doing a movie and they're doing a junket and they're going through so many different outlets, you notice when you first come in, their shoulders are high, they're tense. But once you make that first interaction, once you make that first comment or question, and it's not necessarily hard for them to answer, or it puts them at ease, it's kind of disarming, you'll notice their shoulders relax and the demeanor changes. And that's something I've been noticing a lot with these Rangers I've been interviewing, where I am trying not to talk about Power Rangers, because they're able to talk about stuff that they really enjoy. I'm not saying that they don't enjoy Power Rangers. I'm saying a lot of these Rangers have so many aspirations and so many stories or so many experiences that they've had that they'd wish they could share with the world. But when going to a Power Ranger con, they are ultimately always tied down to just talking about that show, when really they want to talk about other stuff. They want to talk about a lot of things. And that's why I give so much shit to cons that always do the same panels, like another Forever Red panel. It's just like you're inviting these guests over, and they're taking time out of their day to spend time with the fans, and you're gonna keep making them do the same thing. It makes them a hamster in a wheel to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Heirloom, he says when I've done interviews, I always try to focus more on other things than Ranger stuff, and it does work as they want to talk more. Yeah, and it's exactly kind of what you're saying, Jezzer.
Mm-hmm. It's you when you notice it and when you see the change, it's kind of like it's crazy. Like it's a nice feeling, and then your anxiety goes down as well, and then the conversation veers off from an interview and just turns into a solid conversation, to the point where I've always thought this about the Power Ranger actors. I love the Power Ranger actors. They are so like down to earth and so nice, and like to the point where we that's why we hang out with them so often, because it's like, dude, they're just like our friends, or they're our friends, and it's just like,
it is it's like one of us. Yeah, I mean, it's just so like kind of like different, like having that kind of relationship with them that people don't see. I mean, there's so much more to them as people than being on that show. And the show's great. Like, I dig it. But diving into these people as actors, that's another thing too, man.
Yeah.
How so underutilized some of these actors were on their shows.
We keep going back to Megaforce.
Yeah, man. We talk about it all the time, how talented that Megaforce cast is. And then like the season they got is a travesty. It's that should not have happened with the amount of talent that they had.
Yeah.
There's no reason that season should have turned out the way that it did.
But looking at them now, like, you don't let them. It doesn't seem like they let it phase them, like, at all. Like, they just keep moving on. They don't even have to not acknowledge the whole. Their season was probably one of the worst Power Ranger seasons ever. They just roll with it, and they're in, like, a lot of them are just enjoying their lives. Freaking Azim and Ciara are just. They're amazing. They're freaking amazing, and they don't let anything like that hold them down, and I think that's great. There have been Rangers.
Jezzer, you and I are working on some pretty cool Power Ranger stuff for the fans. Are we allowed to talk about any of it? Can we talk about any of it?
I want to. I really do. But I don't want to
overpromise and not deliver?
Yeah, I don't want to overpromise and not deliver. And I think within the fandom that's a huge thing that Power Ranger fans are very weary of. I mean, you could already see it with the Jason David Frank Kickstarter. There are a ton, like it's reached its third or fourth goal already, and people are still weary that they're not gonna come through on their promise. What's your take on that? Do you now that they reached?
They will, man. It's JDF, man. They're gonna make it. He's very committed to making it. It's gonna happen, no doubt. The things that we want to do though are very fan driven though, and I think that we want to put in an effort for you guys. Here's a couple things though, just letting it out there. We do appreciate you guys showing up. Show some support to our show tomorrow, the Retro Ranger wrap up, and anything else you guys might like on the channel. We're going to start ramping up a lot of our Power Ranger content, a lot of our just other content, just in general. So we appreciate all your support. So if you guys haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate your subscribe. But also, we would also appreciate it to check out the Retro Ranger wrap-up, because those guys, Josh is a new addition to that team, and Elle and Daniel are killing it talking about Power Rangers in space. And let's be honest, it's one of the better seasons of Power Rangers. So if you want to relive some of that nostalgia and kind of binge like Kim was doing from Greece with Turbo, binge with us every Sunday here at the Illuminerdi. Another thing, too, is we are on a goal, a straight-up goal to hit 1,000 subscribers. So anything you guys can do to share out this channel would be phenomenal. Oh, look at that. Shay and Josh are going to be on Twitch later tonight, too.
Nice.
But we love you guys to help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Now, this also comes with a little gift bag. Whoever is that 1,000 subscriber.
I want to say a gift case, like a airdrop. We're gonna airdrop a bunch of Power Ranger stuff to someone after we hit 1,000. And actually, I've been redoing my room, turning it into a studio, and I've been finding a ton of Ranger stuff that are not open, they're not touched, and I would love to give to the fans, and I think it's going to be fun.
I have some of these SH figure art things that I want to give away. Like I have this, you guys can't really see because it's disappearing in my screen, but whatever.
That's dope. I have a ton of stuff that we've got over the years, but I mean, listen, I don't want I would love for more subscribers and everything, but we want you to enjoy the content as well, and I think that you guys do, and I think that our team over here at the Illuminerdi, it was working hard into the wee hours. Some people are up at night getting all these articles out, and we do it for you guys. We do it to inform you because we love what we do. We love what we do, and we love to share it with more people.
So I did say that I will give you guys an update on, before we go, a little update on Dino Fury, and I will. Dino Fury is still being cast right now. People are still sending in self-tapes. They are not having physical auditions quite yet, but they're doing self-tapes, so that is coming together. Now, I know a lot has been put out there with character names and some descriptions and sides. All the sides, just to let you guys know, all the sides they're using, and sides are essentially the parts that they read for the script. Those are all from Beast Morphers. So that's nothing new. What they do to cast Power Rangers is they will pair people together, and they'll cast based on that pairing. They won't necessarily, and Jezra knows this very well, they won't necessarily cast the best actors because they have to kind of move people around depending on race and gender. So
aesthetics. They're looking for aesthetics.
But right now they're still currently casting. I might be working on a Dino Fury story. I tell you the truth, guys, I don't think there's a big story there, but I do have character breakdowns for what they are looking for. But I don't think it's a big story, but I'll talk to Bryce and see if we can put something cool together for everybody just to keep everybody more updated. But I wanted to let you guys know what was going on with Dino Thunder and where they are with the casting process. I'm sure Matthew Thompson knows as well because he's an actor that's also auditioning for the role. Right now they are still doing self-tapes, so they haven't even went on to stage 2 yet. So we're all waiting on that information coming up now. Or coming up soon. It should be coming up soon.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem like they're going to stop down and do the show a little bit later either. So it seems like production's going to move just as normal as it has been, mainly because New Zealand has really helped with this coronavirus thing. They've really kicked its ass.
Yeah, they're doing really good over there, unlike some other places.
Yes, we will. I will give you a short rundown. I mean, we pretty much talked about the plot of the team up. By the way, I know you're asking, Lawrence. We pretty much talked about the team up just in a long-winded form. Essentially, it breaks down like this: the Dino Charge Rangers end up on our Prime Earth, and we don't necessarily know why. And they're kind of figuring this is super overview of the plot, figuring it out along the way. Obviously, there's a villain involved that's a part of that, and it's going to bring all the Rangers together.
Yes.
I mean, that's a very short version.
Well, Sledge and Venjix work together, and they, for some reason, bring the Dino Charge Rangers into this world, and then it all just boils down to them. What's the main?
Goldars.
Yeah, Yeah, it's them just trying to reset the timeline. Who knows? Maybe after this, there won't be separate universes.
Yeah, and also I want to address this real quick. I know earlier I said that they were thinking about moving Power Rangers to Canada. It doesn't seem like that might be a thing anymore because this whole COVID thing. So it's possible that it might be staying in New Zealand, and I actually think it will be staying in New Zealand now, especially. Just contractually, I think it's staying there now. Josh also says new guidelines for film and TV production start back up in California will be announced at some point tomorrow, so we should know when they'll be able to start doing auditions again.
Yeah, good to know.
Sorry, Monday, not tomorrow. So that's great. Great for me. That means you guys are going to get more exclusives. By the way, all 57 of you in the chat, have you guys been watching our exclusive that dropped throughout the week? Because what we do here at the Illuminerdi is we break a lot of news, not just Power Ranger news, but we have been dropping those throughout the week to see if you guys like them.
Atlantis.
You guys like huh?
Atlantis, man. I'm pretty excited about that.
Atlantis is crushing it. I'm not going to lie. It is crushing it. And I think, Jezer, you might have second most with your Claire story.
Yeah.
And video views.
Yeah, I love it. I love this new stuff. It's fun.
Larry Newbill, what's going on, brother? But yeah, I think that look, when I get more information on Dino Fury, I promise you guys will be the first to know. So check that out there. If any of you guys also want to take a stab at writing, hit us up at media@theilluminerdi.com. Check us out there. We already have John Gatewood, who's in the chat currently as the Blur. He's a writer for us. And also Bryce West, man. That guy's legit. I love that dude. But yeah, we will have more stuff coming very, very soon. But I think that is gonna do it, right, Jez? I think we covered everything.
Yeah, we're good.
Dude, let's do a couple minutes of rapid fire questions just in case anybody.
Okay.
So if you guys got questions, shoot them in there, and we shall answer them, and then we're gonna sign out. And then we hope that you guys watch our fellow Illuminerdi members, Josh and Shay, on Twitch later on.
Yeah. Buddy Darius says, talk about the Snyder Cut in a video one day. Ooh, that is a good idea.
Just you wait, Buddy Darius. That's coming. That's going to be coming on Rage Cave, another program you should be checking out soon. Kat says, I always see the exclusives, but I always forget to read them and watch the videos. All good. You guys, another question. Have you guys seen the Dark Ranger cover? I have.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. I'm interested to see what the story is. I want comics to start coming back. I am aching for that Ninja Turtle finale because
haven't you read it? We have it.
No, not the last part. The last part hasn't been out yet.
Did you not? Did you? Is it not in the new stuff that we've gotten from Boom?
If it freaking is, I am gonna be pissed off.
Ask Josh. I think it is, and ask him if it's in the last week's stuff.
I don't think it was in last week's stuff. That I've been keeping track of it.
Okay.
And just waiting for the story. They actually had not Power Ranger related, but Judith Hogue, who played the original April O'Neil, did a live stream with a lot of the actors, suit actors, and voice actors. Even Jim Henson's son was on there, and they were talking about the 1990 film. It was a pretty great live stream. They even had Corey Feldman on. It was pretty cool.
You guys rapid fire with these questions. I love it.
Go for it.
Crystal Cummings. She says, any news about the Power Rangers movie? Stay tuned. I promise. Stay tuned. Do we know any of the voice actors for the team up? Not yet, but we're gonna dig into that. I'll get you some information on that as soon as I get it. But yeah, what else we got? What else we got?
Eric Lim says, do you think that with Dino Fury that they may put more past actors like they have started with Beast Morphers? I think so.
I would love that, but
yeah,
I don't see it happening. I would love that though, but I don't know. Abram the realtor. What will it take for Power Ranger fans to grow up and no longer be toxic? You know what, man? It's not just Power Ranger fans. It's all
fans, man.
I deal with it in Star Wars. We deal with it in Marvel. You look, Snyder, DC. Any fandom has it. Like, honestly, man, sometimes I just wish. Like, I know Jezer gets very frustrated sometimes because we have to accept that not all you guys know the business side of stuff. Not saying you guys are supposed to, but saying it does, because we work in the business side of it, so it is annoying for us. But at the same time, man, we can't hold that against the fans. Truth is, you guys just show your love for the fandom, and that's all you guys really need to do. I just wish the people that ran some of these fandoms, whether it be Power Rangers or Star Wars or DC or whatever, do a better job for the fans. And I really wish that they would just listen to the fans a little bit more. But you know what? We can't always get what we want, but we can make the change to make it better. And I think that that's what we want to do, is make Power Rangers just better. Like, make it a better, make it. I want Power Rangers to continue forever. But will it? I don't know. But I want to make sure it does. But I mean, just be happy that you guys share your passion for the fandom just the way that we do.
Nice. Flashflash.
Somebody also wanted us to take live questions. I don't know what that meant exactly, because we are taking live questions right now.
Flash says, "What do you guys think of Hasbro? What do you guys think Hasbro should do to make Power Rangers great again?"
Hire me to
Yeah, that's an easy one. But we've talked about that on many live streams on what we think they should do, but they're not necessarily going to do it. What else? Toku, do you think Dino Fury, we will see another late start with toys, since the decision on Rio Soldier was only made a few months ago?
No, I don't actually. I mean, I don't, to tell you the truth, I don't know, because honestly, the toy side of things, if you really want to get some insight into the toy side of things, man, follow Toku Chris, because he knows the ins and outs of like the toy side than anybody I've ever met. Yeah. So I do kind of recommend following him, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, because I'm not as well versed in the toy side of things as he is. And that's the truth.
Pikachu Master says, will there be any more releases of the Beast Morphers figures like Cyber Villains, Robo Roxy, or Scrazzle?
So I think what now?
There'll be releases of more Beast Morpher Lightning figures.
Yeah, 100%. I think they'll complete that team before any other team.
Yeah,
I guess that's not true. They'll complete the Mighty Morphin team first, and then the other team after that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have Roxy and Zoe's figures out next, and then they're gonna do a Steel, and then I think that's it. I think they're set.
Do you think Steel is just gonna be in his Ranger suit, or does he get the robot
separate head? I don't know. That'd be really cool. I mean, it wouldn't. He'd look weird as hell, but it'd be really cool.
I know. I mean, same thing. I always think about that. If you get the Silver Ranger like Xenowing, like, does he get his chicken head, or does he get like the normal head? His bird head, or like the normal head?
Can I be totally honest with you? In regards to Dino Charge, I don't think we're gonna get that second team, or those auxiliary rangers. I don't think we're gonna get those.
You don't think we'll get like Prince Philip and all those guys?
No, I don't think so. Maybe Claire, but that's about it. I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think we're gonna get them.
Damn, Jezer, really?
I just don't think it's on the horizon or on the forecast right now.
I bet you we get a like box set of like those, like it'll be like the Silver Ranger, the Graphite Ranger, the Aqua Ranger. We'll get like all those Rangers, but no head swaps.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
You don't think so?
I don't. I really don't. I think that they're gonna start focusing on other teams soon. Do Dude,
That's a damn shame.
I know. I'm ready for more of the SPD Rangers. Those figures look
Wait
amazing.
a minute. Yeah, I mean, we're getting the fucking Omega Ranger. You don't think we're gonna get some of these Dino Charge Raiders?
If we are, it's gonna be further down the line. We won't complete the whole set right away. That's 10 Rangers,
I hate
man.
Rangers.
That's 10
how about
Rangers.
this? What's more likely to happen? Do you think we'll get the Dark Ranger, Heckle, or do you think we'll get like some of the other auxiliary Rangers from that season?
I think we'll get Heckle before we get any of the other auxiliary Dino Charge Rangers. I think we'll get Heckle first, as to accommodate their comic book Ranger quota.
Oh, I love this question from Thea Games. Is there any way for the fans to make sure that Power Rangers gets promoted more on Nickelodeon nowadays?
Maybe Twitter? I don't know. Maybe Twitter.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, the truth is that honestly, you guys showing your support by like watching us is extremely helpful. And I don't mean that in a way to sound kind of like grandiose, but I mean it in a way is that, look, guys, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I honestly don't think they were going to tell you that Dino Fury or Ryu Soldier was going to be the adapted season at Toy Fair. I don't think that was a part of the plan. I think what happened was that we leaked that information and they needed something because they couldn't just wow you with their toys. They needed to have you be wowed about something, and that was that something. Why do you think it just said Power Rangers Season 28 coming? It didn't even have a name yet. That seemed like a little bit of a rushed decision. To me, we're putting the pressure on the brand to deliver more. And I think, and I'm not just saying me and the Illuminerdi, all of us that are in Power Ranger media, at least that are brave enough to not attack, it's the wrong word, brave enough to be as outstated as we are about Power Ranger news. I think that we are just a little bit able to move the marker forward for all of us. Yeah. So I think that as long as we can keep doing that, we'll be able to get Power Rangers some more love. And at least show them that, hey, there's another fan base that you're not tapping into. Mm-hmm. And I promise you with every fiber of my being that we are going to do our best to make sure that Hasbro knows that and make sure that they are going to listen. But that's why we need your support. And I don't mean it just trying to say that like, oh, hey, we just need more subscribers. We just need more views. Yeah, we like that stuff, but we really do want to push things forward for the better of just being the fandom. We want the fandom to survive.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, think of it in a way like, I don't want to take it political. Like when you're supporting your local government, they're the person that's going to be fighting for you, right? So it's in a way it's putting your arguments and putting your thoughts and what you want in a vessel to. I'm getting really weird. A vessel to,
I'm gonna be the voice of the voiceless.
Yes.
But you know what? One thing I will say, and I think we're about to sign off right now. Dude, we've had about anywhere between 55 and 65 of you guys for the last hour and a half in here. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much. It means the world to us. And this makes us want to do this every single Saturday. Just chatting Power Rangers and really diving into the behind the scenes stuff and diving into the business side of stuff. And we hope that you guys come out of this show with a better understanding of what the franchise you love is all about. So thank you guys for watching it. Later tonight, I'm going to be watching Super Sentai, so I might be tweeting about it. I think I'm going to finish Jew-Ranger tonight, see how that goes. But yeah, if you guys want to join me on Twitter, we can do our own little private watch party. But thank you guys. Or if you want to stay on brand, you can check out Josh and Shay on Twitch.
Yeah.
We have a Twitch channel. You're damn right we do. So check them out on Twitch. Show them some love. I'm gonna you know what? Maybe I'm gonna tune in and watch them and leave my comments for whatever game they decide to play. But we all love you. Jezzer, why don't you sign us off this week?
Thank you guys for watching. Like we always say, you could be anywhere else on Saturday, but you're here with us, and we really, really, truly do appreciate that. We love bringing you all this news. But you can find me on all social media at Jezzer Zeus. And Joe?
You find me at Joe Luminerdi on all social media. Check out our website and subscribe to our channel and make sure you get the notifications, because that way you'll be the first to know when we break a new exclusive on anything. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Remember, we're always watching.
Yes! Thank you! Oh my goodness! They're on!
Rangers.
Yeah!
Excellent. So yeah.
Oh,